All right, today is day 2 on our little Honda SL70. If you didn't see the first video, had the bike for a while. I installed a Lifan 125 in it. At the time, I just did a simple wiring harness that just allowed the engine to run, no lights. I have decided now that I would like to have lights on it. So we are installing a Trail Buddy universal 12-volt harness that will run the headlight, tail light, brake lights, speedometer lights, all those sorts of things. And there is a previous video to this, so if you haven't seen it, go back and watch that video. I'm in the process now of changing out the speedometer bulbs from 6 volt to 12 volt. If you're not familiar with these bikes, the original engines were a 6 volt system. The new engine is a 12 volt system. So I prefer just to go ahead and change all the bulbs out to 12 volt bulbs rather than trying to cut the voltage down and running, the original bulbs. So the speedometer on these things is a little bit of a pain, and I didn't pull it all the way out because the wiring harness where it feeds through here where all the cables are, it's really tight, and I didn't want to have the hassle of trying to feed all that back down inside there. So the bulbs I use on the speedometer are a 1445. If you need to know, that's the 12 volt version of the bulb. So I'm going to take just a second here and put this back together. I'll tighten those up. This all fits. There's a little insulator rubber piece that fits in here. Bolts go down through it. I got to feed the wiring harness back down, put the speedometer cable on, bolt it all back together, and that part will be done. So there you go. There's the speedometer all buttoned up, has 12 volt bulbs. The next thing I want to do is I made a little bracket, and I'm actually a little too high. I don't know if you can see it. There is a threaded hole right there that's on the battery box where the rectifier originally bolted. And I made a little mount out of a piece of round tube and a piece of flat bar, and I had to put the round tube on it to kind of space it back a little bit. But this is where the 12 volt coil will mount to. So I've got that's going to bolt there. The coil has a threaded post on it. And it doesn't need to be grounded. It's got 2 wires. It has a ground wire, but I just was trying to keep it from just flopping around. Let me get down here where you guys can see what I'm doing. See there you see that little bracket, and now I can take and put the post of the coil in there, tighten that up, and we will have our coil mounted. So let me finish that up, and then we'll start running the wiring harness. All right, so I'm really pleased with the way that mount turned out on that coil. I've got the wiring harness. I think I want to make sure I've got enough to go to the back first. So we're going to start at the back and then maybe work our way forward. There are 3 wires back here. You've got a solid green, and I always forget, I like to get a little screwdriver and be able to poke those in there a little bit farther. Make sure I've got them good and plugged in. I always forget to grab that daggone screwdriver. Yeah, like that's not in there far enough. The bad part is the screwdriver slips and you jam yourself in a finger. There we go. All right, there's a green and yellow. It matches the green and yellow. Trail Buddy did a nice job of making sure, you know, colors matched the Honda colors on the wiring for the most part. I've used a lot of these wiring harnesses and never really had any trouble with any of them. They've all worked the way they should have. All right, so this will come up along through there. All this mess back here is for voltage regulator, CDI, and battery, which we're not going to run a battery. Okay, we've got the 2 wires that come from the brake switch. Try and feed those through there. All right, green and yellow. And then the coil has 2 wires. I forgot to feed this direction. Okay. They just match up black and gold to the green ground. There's that, and then we want the green ground. Make sure I'm not wrapping this around the frame. Yeah, okay, so we're staying under stuff, and we'll tie all this up, clean it up here in a little bit. This is all the wiring to the engine, and it is just plug and play, color to color. Pretty simple. Let's see, a blue and a white to a blue and a white. A black and red to a black and red. We've got a yellow to a yellow. Oh, that's a loose fit. I might need to get a pair of pliers and tighten that up. Yeah, we're gonna have to tighten that one up. The white one. White one's the same way, really loose fit. We've got the green and red for the neutral switch to the green and red of the neutral switch, and the green ground to green ground. But I've got my 2 lighting and charging wires, the yellows and the white ones. They're a little too loose of a fit. So we're going to take the female end and see if we can't crimp it down some. That's the white one. Oh, there we go. That's much better. And then we got the yellow. Yeah, there we go. Those all get tucked down in there. we've got the plug for the key switch. Just plugs directly into, maybe, I gotta turn it, gotta clock it the right direction. Make sure my colors line up. Red, red, black and black, black and white, green. Okay. All this mess. I put too long of a lead. I didn't realize, I thought the plug-in for the key was going to be back here, so I put a longer lead on it. I could have left it shorter, but all right, so we'll tie all that up and clean that up. So everything, with the exception of our CDI and our voltage regulator, are plugged in there. I guess we'll just go ahead and, we can go ahead and plug them in. You can't mess this up. They're unique plugs. CDI plugs into that one, and the voltage regulator plugs into the 4-pin one there. Should plug right into it. There it goes. All right. Okay, so that is everything on the back of the bike. And I think what I'll do, since I'm not going to run a battery, I'll probably just wind up putting the CDI and the voltage regulator inside the battery box and just zip tying them tight. If you're going to run a battery and need that space, you know, the CDIs come with a little rubber thing that you can slide onto different places if you need to, or zip tie around. And the voltage regulator actually has a mount if you wanted to mount it solid. But I think I'm just going to stick them into the battery box and zip tie it all, tape off any bare wires, and tie all that into the battery box. So I think we're ready to move to the headlight. So I'll reposition and put you guys at the front of the bike and looking at the headlight, and we'll finish this up. So we're looking pretty good. I've got the wiring harness all installed, other than the headlight. We'll go up there in a minute, but you know, I've got it run underneath the tank. Got it all fastened to the backbone of the frame. I just kind of tied everything up inside the battery box. So hooked the ground up, tucked the wires for the engine down inside the frame here. So I think we are ready to go to the headlight, and then we'll put the side case and the seat back on it. But let's tackle this headlight and wrap this thing up and see if it will start and things work the way that I hope they work. Okay. Let's see what kind of spaghetti mess we've got. This is all the wires from the harness, and this is all the wires from the bike. Let's start with these two. These are the wires for the brake switch up here on the handlebar. There are two wires. There is a black that needs power, so we'll just hook it to a black wire. The harness, which is 12-volt hot when the key is on. Then it's got a green and yellow wire, which there is a green and yellow wire in the harness. And once again, I didn't grab that little screwdriver. Where's it at? It's right there. There, make sure those are plugged in good and tight. So now, got power when the key is in the second position and the lights are on. It will now send power to that black wire up to the switch, and then when you pull the lever, it sends it down the green and yellow and back to the tail light. All right, what else we got? The horn button, the green wire, or the gray wire with the little green tracer, it gets plugged into the green wire of the horn. which are these two wires right here. These are the two wires that go to the horn. So I say green, I mean gray wire of the horn button. Go in there. Struggling today. Okay, so that, and then the red wire needs power. So that goes back to a black wire in the harness. Okay, that's our horn. I'm gonna do this one last because, well, yeah, I'll do that one last. That's the headlight, and I need to grab the headlight. So then you've got this mess of wires that go to the speedometer. Okay. Green with a red tracer is the neutral indicator. There is a green with a red tracer in the harness, but they're both female, so I made a jumper to do that. There to there. And folks, you don't have to do that. Hang on just a second, let me make sure that's plugged in. I chose to leave the original fittings on there. The kit from Trail Buddy does come with a little bag of different connectors, so that if you would rather, you know, cut that off of the harness and put a male connector there, they are in here. You can do that and not have to run a jumper wire. Okay, the neutral indicator needs power, that neutral indicator light, so that is a black wire. There we go. Let's plug it into that one. Okay. That's those. All right, so then we've got two green ground wires, and there should be a double female ground wire in the harness right here. So both of those go in there. All right, the last two wires are a high beam and a power. We need one more black wire that's got power to it. All right, so that is going to feed, this is a brown and red, it feeds the illumination for the speedometer. Okay. And then the last wire in that little group of harness is the blue for the high beam indicator light. That'll get plugged into the headlight. I gotta go get it. Let's see. We have one more harness here that goes up to the kill switch and the high-low switch. It needs power sent up to it. Is that right? No, I'm sorry. That gets its power from the yellow wire, which is powers the headlight. Okay, so it goes up the brown and red wire up to the switch, the high-low switch, and it's going to come down either the blue or the white. So these three wires all get hooked to the headlight. The last thing, well, maybe not quite the last thing, is we've got this black and white wire, which was the kill switch. I had to run a random wire up there. There wasn't one in the harness for that because, like I said, this harness is made for a CT70K0 or K1, and they don't have a kill switch. I didn't have a black and white wire, so I wanted it to be completely different so I didn't confuse it with anything else, so I ran an orange one up there. So before we put the headlight on, the last thing we have in the harness is this brown wire, and that sends power back to the tail light when the lights are on. It's a female, and my last 12 volt power is a female, so there again I just made a jumper. All right. Oh, that's just an extra ground wire. All right, so we need the headlight. Back up. I forgot to check the bulb in this headlight. Yeah, it's a 6 volt bulb. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see that or not. Yeah, see it says 6 volt, 15 watt. So we are going to put a Stanley. Does it even say if it's 12 volt on there? I think it does. Yeah, it does. I don't know if I'll get it to the camera to pick it up. But it says it's 12 volts on there. So that fits in there. We put our little spring-loaded piece in there. All right, so the last wires. Okay, well, we do need that green wire, that last green, and it goes to the ground, to the headlight. You've got the white wire. The low beam. The headlight has a blue double male. One goes to the high-low switch, and one goes to the high beam indicator in the speedometer. And guys, that should be it, other than trying to get this mess in this bucket, which is always a treat. Let's see, where's my... You know, I didn't test fit this to make sure it actually fit this headlight bucket before I... Probably should have. Yeah, there we go. All right, so I'm going to put the screw in that, button that up. I'll put the side case and the seat on it. And when we are ready to give this thing a fire up, I'll bring you guys back. Well, let's see what happens. I'll put the key in the first position. I've got it on run. Got choke up. I think there's gas in it. Sounds like there is. I got a couple things going on that are surprising to me. I wouldn't think in the first position I would have any kind of lights, and I do. So I don't know if I've got something when I put the bucket in, if I shorted something out. All I've got is a headlight. I don't have the neutral light until I go to the second position. The same way with the tail light. I'm gonna have to hold it. You guys can't see it. Right now I've got it in the first position, no light. I turn it to the second position, I now have a light. Front brake lever, brake light, and then the foot light, so my lights are working. But I've got a headlight when I didn't think I would. It's not a bad deal. Have the headlight on all the time. Well, let's take it for a spin. Yeah, let's take it out and take it for a spin. It just dawned on me, yeah, I should have a headlight because I hooked the headlight, the high-low switch, to the yellow wire, which gets power from the stator non-stop as long as the bike is running. If I would have hooked the high-low switch to one of the black wires, now they only come on when the key is in the second position. They're only energized then. So yes, so the way I have it wired, it is correct for what it's doing. The headlight is going to be on no matter what, as long as the bike is running. It doesn't matter the key position 1 or 2. So all right, well, you guys probably think I live in the Pacific Northwest. It seems like it's raining every time I go to make a video or take a ride, and today is no exception. We've got some rain out here, but let's take this thing for a little bit of a rip. Fellas, there you go. That's hey, my kill switch works. Thanks for following along. Thanks for watching. Hope you maybe picked something up on that. I know I didn't go into a super lot of detail and skipped a few things, but got any questions, just hit me up. Everybody have a great day, and Happy New Year. Today's January 1st. Realize we never tested the horn. All right, I'm done. Guys, have a happy new year. Bad horn, bad burnouts, bad donuts, but we'll get better for 2022.